Hello, everyone. I think I'm now finally live on here. I was trying to figure out a new tool, so I'm just getting started. Really excited to be doing this today because I'm talking about a new thing that we're doing, and I'm talking about how things have been changing in the world of networking. And I just wanted to catch you all up on some new stuff that's happening with our networking organization, but also what's just happening in the world because with COVID and all this kind of stuff that happened in the last few months, things have been changing. But what might you might not be aware of is that things were already changing. Things were already happening in the networking world. In fact, a lot of stuff has been going on over the last 20 years that has been very different. And not all networking organizations have been keeping up with these changes. So I'm here today to talk about what some of those things are and how you can be utilizing them and how you can be making more money in your networking. And I just want to make sure you're not leaving any money on the table because there's lots of opportunity out there today that never existed before. So let's get right into it. First of all, I want to tell you a little bit of story about where we came from. About 9 years ago, we started our first networking organization. It was called the Calgary Business Network. It was right here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And as we got started doing that, I really got started in that for one reason. I was at that time running a marketing business. I was doing online marketing, writing content, doing things like making email marketing set up for people and campaigns, that kind of stuff. And I was looking after their Facebook pages and writing for them. And I even did some ghost writing for some books and different things like that, workshops that people were doing. So I wanted to make money and I wanted to get clients and I wanted to get out there and get in front of people. And so that's how I got started. I just went out and started networking. I went to a meeting. I found out that there was this meeting going on in my city and it was somewhere in a restaurant. So I showed up and I started talking to people. And lo and behold, I got some folks that wanted to talk to me about my expertise and what I knew about. So I made some meetings from that and it led to some business. As time went on, I started to meet a few other people who were doing networking really successfully. And I started to learn from them. In fact, the fellow who owned the Calgary Business Network, Jim Mesner, was very significant in mentoring me and helping me to learn more about networking. And I started to get more money coming into my business because I was doing it, what we thought was right at that time. And I learned a lot from him. And over the years now, I've just learned more and added on to that. But he really showed me how to do it kind of in an old school way, but not completely. Jim was very open-minded, for instance, about competition. He wasn't too worried if there were more than one person in one industry in the same meeting. He was a real estate agent, and he really didn't worry if there were other real estate agents because he had a very, um, you know, just a commanding presence and a really good way with people. And he was not, he wasn't insecure in his own skin at all, just really liked talking to people and didn't mind who was around him when he was networking. And he knew how to make money from networking no matter who was in the room. And I learned so much from Jim. One of the things I learned right away from him was that it didn't matter how big the group was. I really thought you had to have 50 people or 100 people in a room. And I remember one time I went to a meeting and showed up, and it was just me and Jim, and two other people showed up. And it was because there was a snowstorm. There was a huge, huge snowstorm that night and early morning. This is a very early morning. I had to drive, oh gosh, I think it was about 70 miles to get there. And very, very cold weather. And when I got there, I was very disappointed because there was only 4 people in the room. And I thought, well, I don't know how this is going to go. And I don't know if it's really, um, useful for me to be here. But I wrote $70,000 worth of business that day. Yeah, 70,000. It was annual business. Some of it was like monthly programs that people were signing up for, but there was only 2 people there. And because we had only a few people there, we really got an opportunity to get to know, like, and trust each other and to talk, really, to figure out who we were and what we were offering and all that kind of stuff, right? So it was a really great opportunity, and I learned a lot from that. And that was just kind of the beginning lesson. As time went on, I learned a lot more. I learned that how to manage meeting people in a large group and how to manage people in a small group, and so anyways, over time, I started to do more networking, and we took over the Calgary Business Network. I think in the next year or so, and then after that, we started to expand and grow, and we built different parts of the program into place. And one of our largest competitors reached out to us and asked if we'd like to buy their lunch groups. So we had lunch groups all of a sudden, and these are people meeting face to face. These lunch groups had been running for 25 years when we got involved. And some of the members that we inherited through that had been networking for years. So there was like a wealth of knowledge about networking that we were suddenly surrounded by. And I had an equity partner, and my son was involved with the business. So we were doing networking meetings, like meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. We were going out and talking to all kinds of people, and just and meeting people. Hey, Darvin Zook is here. He was probably one of those first people we met way back then. And there was lots more. We were just going out talking to people all over the city, and we were doing lunch meetings and breakfast meetings, and it wasn't very long. We were doing over 400, now it's over 500 live meetings every year in one city alone. So, do you think I might know something about networking now, 9 years later? I've had a lot of experience in networking, okay? I know everything there is to know about networking. There's Yenka. Hello, Yenka. Great to see you. We had so much fun doing this networking. In fact, it was like the ultimate job, because if you can imagine, what was my life like? Well, I was going to lunch meetings and having like lunch with people, right? In restaurants, great food, great times. We'd have beer and wings nights where we do networking, and we had wine and cheese nights where we do networking and masterminds. I mean, what a life, right? Just going from meeting to meeting to meeting and meeting people and enjoying our life. So it was really fantastic. I got to meet a lot of people. I got to hear a lot of them do their business presentations, and it was fabulous. I mean, I got to hear how mortgage brokers thought, and real estate agents thought, and life insurance agents thought, and how spa owners ran their business, and what massage therapists wanted from their business. And I got to meet people who owned like one storefront, and other people who owned more than one storefront, right? We met people who were printers, like Yinka there, and we met people who did phone systems and technical work like Darvin does, right? Darzuk. And we met all these different people, and we started connecting them back and forth and learning how to become connectors and collaborating with people and putting people who could get business from each other together. And today I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But right now, I just want to tell you, like, what happened was networkers and business owners and entrepreneurs really won my heart. Okay. Way back then, I was still trying to do marketing on one hand, and I was trying to do networking on the other hand. But what happened was the networkers in our life won our hearts, and we just wanted to do more and more of that. So I started taking the knowledge that I had with marketing and social media and all those different things, and sharing it with our networkers. And we started to build something really crazy, unique, and awesome in the networking realm. And we started to see such a huge difference in people's lives as they would start networking with us. And their businesses would grow, and they would make more money. They'd meet different people and expand into different areas that they had never thought of expanding into before. Maybe they try new marketing initiatives that they were previously afraid to try, and then they'd find out, oh, that really works really well, and again they'd raise their bottom line. So they learned all these things from networking. So today I'm here today to announce to you that we have a new networking group that's just going live, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm trying to figure out how to post in here, because this is like a brand new thing for me. I'm using this tool that's not just the Facebook thing, it's actually the whole it's called Be Live. So I'm trying to figure out how to do this, and nothing I'm doing is working with it. So I can't tell you how excited I am about that. Trying to post in here. We have a new group that's called Networking. All right. Yinka, you just got added to the group. can you do me a huge favor and go post the URL? Because apparently you can post and I can't figure out how. So that would be really awesome. So if someone could do that for me, that'd be awesome. Anyways, we're starting this new group called Networking. And we're going to be talking about in that group different ways of networking and new ways of networking, because networking itself is not new. It's been around for thousands of years, but the tools and the things that we are using today are really different. Okay. And a lot of people who are out trying to network don't know how to use those tools. So when you join the group, there's an opportunity to give us your email address. Okay. It's very important that you do that. All right. Because if you give us your email address, we're actually going to send you a download of something that is called um, uh, 5 ways to immediately make more money networking. Okay. And if you have that tool, it's going to give you 5 ways that you can make money today in networking, things that you probably have not thought of. Okay. And it's like an 8-page little book. Okay. It's not very huge. It's just a small book, but it's got 5 really good tips on how to turn your networking into profit today. And we're not going to send that to you if we don't have your email address. And just a word on sharing your email address. I am probably stepping out on a limb here because some people are like, oh no, I don't want to share my address and I don't want to share my email address. I don't want to share my phone number. Okay, if you're in business, and I'm assuming if you're watching me today, you have an interest in business because I'm talking all about business. I hardly talk about anything else, okay? I talk to entrepreneurs and business owners and strategists every day of the week after week after week for 9 years now, okay? And I'm going to tell you something about how to make money in your business. Here's tip number 1 for you right now. Be liberal with sharing your contact information, okay? I meet people who say, well, I'm not going to share that. I don't want people to see that because I don't want spam. Spam's going to happen anyway, all right? Get over it, okay? This has nothing to do with spam. This has to do with the fact that if you are in business for yourself, you need to put an open for business sign over your life. People need to be able to contact you. If you were in the meeting, like right now, even right now, I know Yinka is in printing and she has the UPS store and they do shipping. Okay. If she just posted her information in for you guys, okay. Now what can happen? You guys will actually know how to contact her and she could get business because she put that there. So like she's the smart one in this room right now. Look at that. Okay. And then I know we got other folks who watch us and go, well, I'm not going to put my information there. Okay, then no one will ever call you for business, and you won't make any money because you didn't put your contact information where people can find it. So when you are on, situations like this where we are talking about networking and we're attracting other business owners, my goodness, why wouldn't you want to put your contact information so other business people can actually reach out to you, so they can look you up and see what you do and go, oh yeah, that looks great. I think I should contact that person, right? So definitely you need to do it that way. You got to put your info out there. People aren't going to be able to find you. So today I'm asking for your email address. I'm going to be bold. I'm going to talk about it again later. Okay. I just keep pommeling people with that. And it's because, yes, I want to contact you and I'd love to send you some information. But you know what? Other people want to buy your stuff and we can't find you. So please, by all means, please do that. Okay. Oh, I see Martin's there. Thanks, Martin. You're putting up your contact info. That's very, very smart. Martin is somebody who actually has access to buying gold. Okay. Gold, for goodness sakes. I mean, who doesn't want to buy some gold and put some gold away in a sock or something, right? You can get you actual gold, okay? It's great. It's a fantastic gift too, by the way, for someone to have a piece of gold and they can put it in a card. It's really awesome. He sells them in small amounts. So contact him. Anyways, as you can tell, I'm a networker. I know all these people, right? All right, so we would love to send you the 5 ways to immediately make more money networking, and you need to give us your email address to get that, okay? So I also just want to talk a little bit about how networking has been changing and how things have been changing in the world. And of course, I think right now people are really aware of that. They know it more right now than they've known it for a long time, okay? because of what happened recently with the coronavirus and everyone had to go get their business online all of a sudden, right? Okay, makes sense. They're starting to figure that out. But guys, that didn't just start. So let's talk about where networking came from, okay? Thousands of years ago, when people started doing business with each other, networking really got started then. There's probably some guy in a cave, okay, and there was some guy who had a hut down by a river, and one guy made a deal with somebody, says, hey, you need to meet my friend Steve, who's down by the river, okay? So they went and they communicated with each other, and these people also got the business. Well, over the years, things started to change, and you know what? And there's this thing called the Silk Road, okay, coming from China and all through the Orient down into Europe. This is how goods and services were actually transported, hundreds, thousands of years ago. And on that Silk Road, merchants would band together, okay? They wouldn't go out on the road by themselves, okay? And the reason they don't go out on the road by themselves is because marauders would come and steal their stuff and run off with it. Okay, and probably kill them in the process. So it was dangerous business being in business alone. Ladies and gentlemen, that is still true today. How many people have you met in your life who went and hired somebody they met on the internet they did not know, and they got taken for some money? Has that ever happened to anyone you know? Of course it has. This has always been happening. Okay, so with networking, the possibilities are that you get to know, like, and trust people, and then you can tell who you should do business with. And the same thing happened back then. They would get together in groups, and merchants would go together. And there are other benefits of being together, because if one guy, he sold silk and he got in to see a king or an emperor or somebody who had the opportunity to make big purchasing decisions along the way, okay, then what would happen is they would all share. The guy who sold silk, he would get the next guy who sold the spices in to see them as well, okay? So it was all about connections way back then, just like it is today. And then we fast forward a few hundred years, okay? And there's this thing that happened called feudal systems in Europe, okay? And in a feudal system, there's like a castle, there's a community around the castle, there's walls, there's a moat. And again, why did they do that? To keep out bad guys, okay? To keep out people who might charge the castle and try to take over the kingdom. And so inside was a unit of people, a group of people who all knew, like, and trusted each other. They were a community together, and they watched out for one another. And that's where these things called the guilds got started, okay? And the guilds were actually a little bit more advanced method of networking, because you had to actually pay money to be part of the merchants guild. You couldn't just go and join the guild without having some commitment. You had to live in the community and you had to put some money into it, okay? So what happened was, again, they would watch out for each other. If somebody came in, and this is where these terms like the fly-by-night company came about, okay? Because the guy would come in and rip off a few people and then leave in the middle of the night. And that was a fly-by-night company, right? But in the guild, the people knew, liked, and trusted each other, and they would watch out for one another and for that kind of behavior. And if someone came into the community and actually did not provide those great services, but was a little bit shoddy in their work and they didn't get things done right, or they actually had situations, where they didn't do it at all, guess what would happen? The group would be talking about it with each other, and they would practice, this opportunity to look out for one another. And the same thing happened with the sharing of leads and referrals. Again, one of them would get in to see the king, and he would tell, the butcher would tell the baker, I was in at the king's, and the baker next thing would be baking for the king, right? And so on. They would share their best clients with one another, and that's how networking through the ages has worked. Okay, now fast forward, zoom all the way to, actually kind of went that way till almost just a couple hundred years ago, when we started getting more advanced networking groups. And about 100 years ago, right here in our city, there was a group called Probus that's 100 years old now. And these guys have been getting together regularly for a long time. And there's like one person per industry getting together, and they share leads and information with one another. Well, there's other groups out there that do that as well. Okay, so that started about 100 years ago or so. That's what my research has shown anyway. So that was giving opportunities, more modern day opportunities of how people would then start networking with one another. Okay. Hi, Christine. See you there. See you, Laura. Hello. Nice to see you. Alan, good to see you. So, yeah, Probus since 1922. Thank you, Dar. Yeah, great organization. And I know that many cities have chambers of commerces, and those have been around for a long time. And that type of networking where business owners got together, shook hands, met one another, went from there. That's been going on for a long time. But now we're fast forwarding again to about 20 years ago. Okay. So I know a lot of people think that the new networking thing is this now with online networking and Zoom meetings, all this stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first introduction to new networking, you're way behind. Okay. 20 years ago. What started happening 20 years ago? Well, there was emailing. All of a sudden, emailing was a thing, right? We didn't have the electronic means that we have today until it started about 20 years ago. And it started with that. And then, I don't know, it's been 12, 13, 14 years since Facebook started, right? So then Facebook got started. And then there's LinkedIn came along, and we've had Twitter and Instagram and all this stuff. And people are more online today than they have ever been, ever in the history of the world. And this whole online thing is a new way of networking. So our group on Facebook, networking, is helping you navigate what is new today in networking and all of the cool things that it is taking place in networking today. Okay, so it's just it's things have changed so much. The world has changed so much. Life has changed so much, and networking is still around. It's still active, but it's different. Okay, now I'm going to talk about how is it different. Well, for one thing, it used to be that I had a Rolodex and I kept all my contact information, my client information in a Rolodex. Okay, 20, 25 years ago, that's how I would have done things. In fact, I was an insurance agent for a short while when I was like 20 years old, and we all had Rolodexes, okay, and files and physical daytimers and papers that we use to do everything. And today, there's so much that we're doing with that that's all online, and all of these different customer retention management systems and everything that's digital. It's so different today than what it used to be, right? So our networking has to reflect that as well. So at CIBN Connect, we have been doing things differently in networking for the last 9 years because I came from the world of actually doing online marketing. So it made complete sense to me that these two things should be merged together. But it didn't seem to make sense to a lot of other people. And in fact, it still doesn't make sense to a lot of the people that I have met over the last few years who've been out networking in more traditional means. They don't see how these things are linked together. Gotta stop for a drink here. I'm talking. And I can see I'm going to need a lesson on how to use this tool too. By the way, that's what we all should do when we don't know how to do stuff. We should look things up. Okay. I had a little lesson. Apparently it was not enough. I need more. Okay, so I started learning a few years ago how to merge the social media with the networking and create more of a social networking experience. And at CIBN, we have actually been helping our members with that a lot over the last few years. And that has been very helpful to many of them. That, some of them have grown significantly in their business. And we've had, things like a bookkeeper who went from $30,000 to $180,000 a year over a few years of being part of CIBN because of all the things she learned and all the people she met and all the connections she got, but how she managed to merge them together because it's so much more effective than just I'm going to call this person back tomorrow. I'm going to go to a meeting, I'll exchange a business card, and then I'll call these people back tomorrow. They don't answer tomorrow. Okay. Have you had that happen? Okay. You go out to a networking event and they just don't answer tomorrow. Okay. So then what? How do you communicate with them? Well, if you have grown all your social media stuff, then it's quite natural to connect with them and become a friend on Facebook and connect with them on LinkedIn and follow them on Twitter. And these days, it's not seen as stalkerish at all. Okay. It's good business to do that. It takes 7 to 14 touches to actually get a sale. Okay. It takes 7 to 14 touches to get a sale for anything at any time ever. All right. So if you could touch people kind of more naturally and in an automated way through social media, wouldn't it make sense? Because if you only met them once and then they landed on your Facebook page and they got in your feed on Twitter and they're then following the postings that you were making on LinkedIn, and then you went to go see them again 6 months later, you might think that that's a cold lead. If you were active in those places and merging the social networking together, merging that social media with your networking, what would be happening is when you would meet that person again in 6 months from now, it's not a cold lead at all. It's actually a very warmed up lead because you touched that guy 14 times. And now when you meet them, it's so much easier to get right to business and to write out a deal and to actually get some business going, right? So this is tremendously important for you to do this, okay? And to be part of an organization that'll help you do that. So this networking group that I just started on Facebook is designed to actually help you figure out more of that stuff and get more of your online connections actually booking meetings with you and turning them into real clients that pay money. Who wants to make some money? Put up your hands, okay? Definitely, we need to increase profits. I talk to business owners all the time, and most business owners say to me that there are two things that they have that are a challenge for them all the time, and it's not enough money and not enough time, okay? Who has a problem like that? Okay. I'm sure I don't need you to put up your hand, but you know what? We all know people who have problems with not enough money and not enough time. So, what we can do now is show you how to use networking to get more money and more time in your life to enjoy the things that are important to you. Okay. Does that make sense? So, sign up for the group. Put your email address in there so that we can send you that 5 ways to immediately make more money networking so that you can get started with that. Also, I want to tell you that in that group, the networking, we are inviting people from all over. So when we first got started with our network here in Calgary, I started by running a few groups called the Calgary Business Network. Okay. And I was really interested in just focusing on Calgary as my market. But times have changed. 3 years ago, I started to do some research about what would the possibilities be for online networking. And at that time, people said to me, "Oh, Carrie, that's not going to work. Nobody is going to share a lead with somebody that they met online, and nobody is going to feel like they know one another online." Well, that is not what we found. What we have found is that we actually do connect really well in online networking. And many of our members in the online network have already been making significant amounts of money. One of the first ones that did it was my own mother. Of course, she was easy to talk into trying it, right? Because she's my mom. But she's part of a network marketing company. She sells Vox socks, okay? Vox socks are socks that cost $35 to like $50 a pair. Okay, not a cheap sale. They are socks that have like what do they got? They got like I actually I don't know the science behind it. Okay, it's not my product. I'm sorry, but I just know it's an expensive sock, but it also works. It works really well. I have sciatica, and I actually haven't had to go to a chiropractor for quite a long time because almost 2 years now because of wearing the Vox socks. Okay, so it's a good product, but it's not a cheap product. So guess what happened when my mom started coming to online networking? Okay, she started to actually get, first of all, sock sales. I think over 2 to 3 months, she landed between $2,000 and $3,000 worth of socks sales. So that's significant, okay, for a network marketer. Another thing that happened, was, occasionally she would tell people, I am looking for recruits. Do you know anybody who's in a health and wellness related industry? I have an event coming up. I'd love to buy them a free ticket. And she also signed up 8 distributors in her network in the first few months just because she was putting that out there. So, that to me was phenomenal evidence that people could actually join an online network and also get business from it. Now, fast forward again to coronavirus. All right. So last year we started the online network and we had a test case that my mom was a part of, and there's a few other people in the group, and we got them getting business with one another. We opened up new groups again that were happening at the end. We got them going at the end of September and October, and they've been coming forward into now. And then in March, this crazy thing happened, and we had to take all of our live groups and move them to online platform. And we did that really, really fast. Like within 24 hours, we had it was like 87% of our network had moved over to the online platform in 24 hours. And it went up to like 94% adoption in our larger network within a week. Okay. So most of our people had no problem moving to online because we're continuously leading them in how to do things online. And we did a lot of hand holding that first week or two to help our business owners figure out how to network online. Good things though have happened. We've had more great case studies and seen more data about how this really, really works. We also have started a US group, and the US group is rocking it. We got people joining that US group, and I'm trying to scroll down, and this thing will not let me. It's driving me crazy. I know that Cheyenne is in here watching, and she's from Raleigh, North Carolina. And she has, been part of that group. I know Christine Althouse is in here somewhere. She's also been part of that U.S. group, and she's been part of the Canada-wide one. She's out in Ontario. And we have been watching this phenomenal thing happen as people are coming together from all over the place. Now, again, I had people say to me, Carrie, well, why would that be important? And why would that work? And who cares if, I sell this product and I only sell it here? You get to hear the knowledge from people all over the place, and you get to learn from them no matter where they're coming from. But there's some categories of industry that really it makes sense to be networking from everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know a real estate agent? Okay, get them into the online network, because they will meet another real estate agent or just anybody from any other part of the world, the other part of the province, the other part of North America, and that person will know somebody moving to their city because they just did business with them and they found that out. Isn't that a great lead? Hello, we have lots of leads for people from broadening that scope. Okay, that's just one example. I have coaches in our network that are getting business from all over North America right now. Okay, they didn't have a single client outside of their city prior to doing it online. Isn't that cool? So, I mean, and there's all kinds of things. There's even like insurance agents, they can only operate regionally, but to find out who's moving to their city and then leaving the caseload of somebody who was there caring for them and having that personal introduction to be now connected to somebody in their city. Wow. And what a great service for those customers too, because they'd have been floundering out there looking around for somebody, trying this one, trying that one. And now they're being actually brought into a community right away and given, the help that they need in that area of their life. And then finding out there's other services in that network as well. So you see how powerful this is? So this group that I'm starting, networking, I'm encouraging you guys to join that group. Okay. And I really wish I could figure out how to post, but I don't know. It just will not let me do anything or type anything. I hope you guys are seeing this because I don't even know. I'll look at it later. So anyways, find my group, networking. Just do a search on Facebook. Join the group. Give us your email address so we can send you the 5 ways to immediately make more money networking. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you. I'm going to be talking more about this. I'll be playing with this tool and trying to figure out how it works. For those of you who are CIBN Connect members, you will actually see schedules put up into the CIBN online networking group. There's a calendar there, and you'll know when to join in. And yeah, and help me to spread the word and get the word out about how networking can really change the lives of business owners, can really raise your bottom line. And those two things that you have going on where you're lacking time and lacking money, networking can really help you. And we're going to be sharing a lot of tips on how to do that inside of the group, networking. So please join it. And I look forward to hearing more from you and finding out more about what you do in the future. Have a great day. Happy capitalism. And let's see you at networking.